welcome to Sinister Studies. Join me each episode as I delve into some truly sinister topics and traumatize my family. I'll be joined by one or more teenager, and from time to time, we'll have special guests. Be forewarned, our stories are seriously sinister, so listener discretion is always advised.
You're gonna have to scoot your chair back that way.
I mean, we don't have to move it that much.
Literally that much. And now we're all equal.
Okay.
It feels like a seance kind of thing.
I mean, we're all sitting in a circle.
And we're just
around the light.
Around the light. No other lights are on in the house. I know, it's dusk. If it were midnight, it'd be scarier. But it's kind of got that whole vibe going.
Well, welcome back to Sinister Studies. As you can tell, we have a returning special guest, Dad.
Hey, guys.
And we're actually having a seance today. So feel free to listen in. We'll see if we get any ghosts. Maybe Burmah will come.
Maybe. Why, you ask? Have you been treated to a special guest 2 weeks in a row? Because this is the 3,000th time we've attempted this case.
But it's the first time I've heard it.
We can't keep having the same conversations over and over.
No,
we've had them 4 times. If we had to re-record it one more time alone, I would have actually had an aneurysm.
So today we're going to talk about Burmah Adams. Could you do me down as you pull up that picture?
Which one? There's a lot of them. This one? One of these?
Yes.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah. She's slaying.
I would agree.
Okay. Okay, it's giving.
Yeah, she's cute. Good looking lady. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
She's movie star looking.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Like the one behind the bars on that one, she looks like it could be on a movie set.
Yeah.
I thought it was from a movie.
Yeah,
it's not.
It does look like a frame from a movie.
Is from a movie set.
Oh, no way. No way. All right.
So our brief history lesson for the day is 1933 was the midpoint for the Great Depression.
Great Depression.
Unemployment was so going to hell.
Oh my God, guys. It was a terrible time to be alive.
It sucked. It was really bad.
People ate each other. That's not true at all. They could have.
Unemployment and poverty was rampant, and due to the... Why is this spaced out so fucked up? Unemployment and poverty was rampant, and due to the drought in the Midwest and the Great Plains, and also
Dust Bowl.
Subsequent dust storms made farming impossible.
Oh my God, are you just going to cut her off every single time?
No, I did that the first time too. I was like, oh, I know this one.
They're learning something in school.
That guy is teaching us not a lot of stuff, but sometimes he showed us 3 straight videos on the Dust Bowl with the same information. It was so boring.
Did you have a test on it?
Tired. We haven't done a test for the unit yet.
Oh my God.
He showed us, literally spent the whole class showing us multiple 3-minute videos.
Yeah, YouTube's awesome.
But they will all have the same information, because how much can you really talk about the Dust Bowl?
A whole lot. It's actually quite interesting. There's a whole documentary.
They weren't that interesting. It was just oh, and there was dust. And it's okay. And there was farmers.
When you're in high school, that's pretty much what it amounts to.
I think it's intriguing. I'd watch 4 to 5 minutes of it.
So, as we know, crops, farm animals, and people were definitely casualties while the nation was in turmoil at this time. On August 16th, 1933, Crombie Allen, a newspaper owner and editor who helped bring the 1932 Olympics to LA, and Cora Withington, a beloved first-grade teacher at an elite private school who helped bring their arts program to fruition, were set up by mutual friends on a date.
Sweet. So he was from LA.
Yes, they were in the LA area.
Nice.
They had just been to the movies, and since Cora was learning to drive, Crombie was teaching her how to drive on his new car, a Chevy Coupe.
Sweet.
Nice.
That's how you get the girls with a Chevy Coupe.
Bean's first car is going to be a yeah. So he has Riz.
Because
Oh
Lord
my
knows
God.
he doesn't have it on his own. He needs something to help him
He's
out.
got Chevy Riz.
He's got Chevy Riz, yeah.
Coupe Riz, man.
Coopers.
You gotta talk like the kids. You just don't know what you're talking about. Mom's like, what the fuck are they saying?
I understand. This was a terrible idea.
This is awesome.
The couple were
Just
stopped.
leave it all in. Okay.
The couple were stopped at a red light when a car driven by a platinum blonde wearing a brown headscarf pulled up beside them.
Ooh.
Okay, Queen.
Yeah, it's pretty baller.
For obvious reasons, most of them involving being stopped at a red light, neither Crombie or Cora thought anything of the car next to them because intersections.
You know, there's going to be people next to you. There's going to be people stop next to you. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, you just ignore everybody. That's what I do.
You ignore them until a man jumps out waving a pistol.
Okay, yeah, then I look to save anybody around me and try and destroy the man
Well,
with my hands.
maybe focus on saving yourself first, because
If you can't save yourself, you
This
can't.
man was a newspaper editor. I just want to point that out.
Oh. Okay, well, teach his own.
He pointed the gun at Cora, who was in the driver's seat, saying, "Shell out, sweetheart." Isn't that like the most 30s thing you've heard?
Yeah, it's like,
It's like a movie quote.
yeah.
like, that doesn't seem like a real thing.
It's definitely,
That
I
people
would,
say.
I would question. No, they probably did say it.
I know, but it's just like real, like, it sounds so, like, cartoonish, you know?
It does, because it's a trope. You've heard it so many times. It's bullshit.
Crombie immediately handed his watch over and the $18 that he had on him.
Holy shit, that's like $100.
$437.
Holy shit, who walks around with that kind of money in their pocket for, like, casually doing it?
Journalists? I don't know.
Who are you paying off? It's like $400? Like, was he, like, making a big purchase that day?
He's a newspaper editor on a date trying to impress.
Doesn't take $400 to go to the movies, especially not then.
It was probably like a nickel.
Maybe he just got his paycheck for the month.
Wait, is this during the Great Depression? How does he have $18 in his pocket?
He's a newspaper editor in LA. He is not affected as much as some of the others.
Just $400 in his pocket. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Hey, Kim, I want to walk around tomorrow with $400 in my pocket. You'd be like, be careful, you're going to lose it. I'm like, I probably would.
No, you'd be like, why are you doing that? What do you need to be walking around with $400 for?
Yeah.
Like, that's silly.
It's an absurd, like, Ed's like, oh yeah, I have like 1,000 in cash on me all the time. I'm like, no, first of all, no, you don't. And he does. And I'm like, why do you do that?
Ed, go to the bank.
Yes.
Please, Ed,
go to the bank for Christ's sake. A debit card is not a, I don't know, handcuff or whatever. Just do better. Anyway.
Wow. Jesus.
Oh my god. You drop it and
Oh, she's licking my toes again.
you have no money.
That's right. Yeah. What happens if, like, you lose your pants?
What if somebody robs you?
What if you fall into a lake and the money melts together when it dries?
Disintegrates?
Or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
What if you get set on fire and then the money burns?
Or what if you have what if you, like, instantaneous, what's it called? Whatever.
Spontaneous
Combust, but only on your thigh. You've just lost $1,000. I don't know if we're leaving that in, but it was pretty good. It was a pretty good rant.
You just had to get that out.
Yeah.
So poor flustered Cora was trying her best to hand over her purse, but unfortunately she caught it on her skirt. So it caused some sort of delay in handing over her pocketbook. I'm assuming it was like next to her, although the car is set up, the bench is set up. I don't know how that works because there were bench seats back then.
I thought maybe she had it like by her feet and then it just like got caught.
She
like,
was
under the
driving.
skirt.
It better not be next to her feet. Don't ever do that.
Oh, she was driving?
She was driving.
Oh,
Or can we just say that she was flustered?
She was very flustered. There was a man pointing a gun at her.
Yeah, it's never pleasant.
So she was trying to hand over her purse, and the man was a little skittish. Unfortunately, he ended up shooting the cop. The bullet grazed Crombie's throat and then struck Cora, where the bullet went in one eye and out the other.
That's some Looney Tunes shit. That's
What?
some cartoon ass.
It literally grazed his neck, went in one of her eyes, and out the other. Because the way she was...
Insane shot.
So now she's blind or dead?
Well, now she's blind. You ruined the surprise.
Oh, I'm like, you told me she just... Not much of a surprise when you say both of her eyes got shot out.
I presume she's
I took a
blind.
bullet to both eyes. I'm probably not seeing ever.
Yeah, I've got 20/20
Yes.
vision.
The couple would survive the shooting. Unfortunately, obviously, Cora was blinded for life.
Oh my god, how shocking. Who could have predicted this?
The assailant, I reached the point in my day where I can no longer talk. The assailant.
The assailant.
The assailant.
Oh my god. Just so you know, she's hopped up on cold medicine. So this is pretty fun for all of us.
So he jumps back in the car with a now laughing blonde woman and drive off into the night. Who were these clearly violent and dangerous criminals?
Certainly dangerous.
The man was 28-year-old Tom White. He was born into a New York military family, which meant they naturally moved around a lot. He began his criminal career at 14 years old.
Damn, I haven't begun my criminal career yet.
But you are a late bloomer.
I know.
Start with fires.
When he and a friend stole bikes in an effort to run away to Mexico.
Like bicycles?
Bicycles.
Just to bike off to Mexico.
They were going to bike off to Mexico.
And, well, like
They were like in the Midwest.
they were going to go the Midwest? Oh, wow. That's a long way.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
I mean, did these kids know how far Mexico was? And like, what was the plan? Were they just gonna like bike across the border and then do what?
It was very different.
And go where?
During the Great Depression.
Tijuana? Cancun? I don't know. Probably Tijuana.
You said Cancun. It's like the grips of the Depression. You think people are vacationing
They're
there?
riding their bikes to Mexico. They're going to want to go someplace nice. Even if
It
they
wasn't
have no
nice
money.
back then.
It
It wasn't always a
It's
resort town. Oh my god.
I mean, maybe nicer than other places though.
It's still Mexico.
These are 14-year-old boys
I don't know.
out
Yeah.
for the thrill of their lives.
They could have just gone to Canada. It would have been closer.
It's not as warm.
That's true. Fair enough. I agree with that.
As a result, Tom was sent to a school for boys, followed by detention centers, and later to prison. He was able to frequently escape these facilities. For some freaking reason, they didn't actually really lock down these facilities in the 30s.
They were just like, hey, it's suggested that you stay here and you have nowhere to go, so just stay here.
Just like we advise you to stay here.
Like, if you leave, we're just going to make a stink out of it. But, like...
We could be like, oh, no.
And DNA...
He's gone.
Yeah, oh my god, where did he go? That's one less person we have to worry about.
Oh, man. It really sucks.
During one of these escapes, he ran off to Utah to try to join the
He
Army.
made it to Utah?
Yes, specifically to join the Army in Utah.
Holy shit, closer to Mexico.
The Army recruiters there, for whatever reason, rejected him. So he then returned back to where he had just escaped from prison.
He went back into prison.
Tried to join the Army there. Unfortunately, there was another former inmate in the recruitment center, also in the process of joining, who immediately told the recruiters that Tom was an escapee and he was promptly returned to jail.
Oh, my God.
Who would have known? Again, like, everybody's very nonchalant about this. The guy went across the country to try and sign up for the military. And
And he didn't go somewhere else after that. He went back to the place.
It's almost like he wanted to go back to the place where he was going to be the safest.
He was just like, oh man, what do I do now?
Well, yeah, a lot of times they do go back to where they know, what they're familiar with.
Yeah.
It's called recidivism.
There we go. Tom was released in 1919, where at which point he moved to California, where his sister lived. He was able to get a job as a mechanic and kind of, sort of did try to be a productive member of society, but that was short-lived, and Tom was back at it again. In 1930, he was arrested with 2 other men after breaking into a grocery store and stealing cartons of cigarettes worth $700.
$700.
In their time or our time?
In their time.
Holy moly.
So wait, how did they get it out?
$12,711.94.
Or to those of you who smoke today, a carton.
So how did they get all of these cigarettes? Like, how did they steal all of those? Because that's a lot.
Yeah, but they're in boxes and boxes within boxes and boxes.
I know, but it's like you still have to haul multiple. Like,
you then also have to unload cartons of cigarettes.
And then what do you do with them? And then what do you do with them?
You sell them to a
You
third
sell them on
party.
the street.
Yeah, but then
Yeah, you sell them to a third party, so you don't actually have to deal with like selling them.
oh my god, and it's like,
That's how I would do it.
So obviously,
have you thought about this?
No, but it's quite simple.
But like
these
nobody
were not
thought to
smart
stop.
men.
Nobody thought to stop them when they were walking out with a ton of
Wait,
cigarettes.
this was in broad daylight?
I don't know no.
Oh.
But regardless,
They
they
just
were
stole like the
caught
whole stock of cigarettes and
Pretty
nothing
much.
happened.
They were caught and arrested pretty quickly because that's a hell of a lot of cigarettes to have to unload. He was charged and convicted of grand theft and sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison.
That's a pretty broad range.
Yes. There's lots of broad ranges in the judicial system. They're very, very broad at this time.
Yeah, 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Yeah, maybe a year, depending on how you do it.
He must not have done too well because it took him a whole 2 years to get paroled.
A whole 2 years.
In April of 1933, he was remanded at that point into the custody of his sister. This is where he met a 19-year-old Burmah Adams in
Ooh.
June of 1933 at Sebastian's Cotton Club,
Oh, Sebby.
which was a groundbreaking jazz club because they only hired black musicians. Burmah was born in 1914 to parents who at the time were unwed.
Oh my god. On a wedlock. How dare you? We will have to, I don't even know,
Oh,
like,
wow.
ridicule you for the rest of your life.
Oh my god.
So, Burmah was an illegitimate child. Her parents later did marry, and they moved to California, where they ended up having the same financial issues that the majority of the country were having. But they were a loving family, and they lived in a safe area with good schools. She was reportedly an excellent student. She skipped 2nd grade,
Nice.
received awards for typing, and invited to special classes for the smart kids.
Nice, because she can type.
She was also a beautiful social butterfly, and everyone loved her.
Aw.
Unfortunately, she was hit by a car while riding her bike freshman year and suffered severe head trauma. She was frequently visited in the hospital by friends and classmates, but they would later say that she had a shift of personality after the accident.
I mean, yeah, because that's
She did get
traumatic.
hit by a car.
Like physically and psychologically.
Probably just physically. I mean, she got hit by a car.
I mean, that's scary though.
Yeah, it's scary as shit.
When she was a senior, the Great Depression was just starting to grip the nation. She ended up dropping out of traditional high school, instead taking cosmetology classes that were offered in the same school, kind of like a trade school within the high school. She did this in an effort to make her own way and to help her family. Burmah moved to San Francisco and got a job in a salon, but after the 1933 earthquake struck LA County, she felt she had to return home to her family. She started a new job at a fancier salon where her customers clearly had the life that she had envisioned for herself, and she wanted that life.
Of course.
When she was introduced to Tom White in the summer of 1933, she was only 19, he was 28.
That's a pretty big gap.
Especially when you're talking about a teenager.
Yeah. I mean, she could drink by then, but in today's standards, she wouldn't be able to drink.
I mean, she's still a teenager. And he's like in his almost 30s.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Oh my God, he's in his 20s.
I know, but he's in his late 20s. He's 28.
Like, if he was like difference between 28 and 19 mentally wise.
Oh, of course, no
shit. If he was like 24 or something, it wouldn't be like as bad. But he's like 28. It's like,
Tom and Burmah dated for about 4 weeks. Tom, who initially told Burmah that he had a large inheritance, he was into stocks and bonds. That came out terrible. It really did.
He was into stocks and bonds.
Tom initially told Burmah that he
during
had...
the Depression, too?
Yes, he...
Okay.
A lot of job openings.
Especially in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to do that anymore. They were just like, oh, man.
No, because a lot of them were just killing themselves.
Poor people couldn't... Well, yeah.
That's one way to maintain a position.
But, the poor people couldn't afford to invest in the stock market anymore, so.
He started giving Burmah all of the things she ever wanted. They went on fabulous dates. She was escorted to the best places in fancy cars. He was giving her the life she had envisioned. But the facade rarely lasts, and during this time, he hooked Burmah on cocaine.
Oh.
Nice.
And frequently drugged her drinks.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He drugged her drinks?
And got her hooked on cocaine.
And he was easily able to get...
That's actually insane.
This high and drunk teenager to participate in his shenanigans.
Sex.
Crime.
Oh.
Probably also sex.
Probably sex, too. Occasionally.
As it turns out, on August 16th, the shooting of Crombie and Cora was not the first crime the duo had committed that day.
Oh, shit.
Earlier in the day, they were driving around a sleepy neighborhood when they saw a man standing next to his car. Tom jumped out of his car and robbed the man, stole his car, and left the car that they had driven there in on the side of the road.
Real good detective work.
That same day, they also robbed a number of people in various places.
Just randomly robbing people.
Robbing spree.
They ran one man off the road and threatened him with a gun.
Fun date idea. Let's rob a ton of people.
On August 26th, they went on another spree, robbing shoppers in a grocery store. On August 31st, a man trying to enter his apartment building was sneak attacked by a waiting Tom who put a gun to the poor guy's head. But this guy was not having it. He was going to go down fighting. He was able to get away from Tom, and he punched Tom in the face.
Yes, he should.
He reported that Tom had gotten into a nearby idling car driven by a woman with blonde hair.
Is that our vixen?
It is our vixen. Tom and Burmah then followed that up by going to another grocery store and robbing it.
Damn. Robbing sounds like it's fun. They've done it a lot.
They did. Burmah and Tom married on September 1st at her parents' home. She wore a black satin gown. Her family was in attendance, but they admit that they had been really wary of the situation because that they'd not only noticed a change in Burmah's personality, but it was also frequent bruising on her body. The couple committed no less than 20 crimes in the few weeks before their marriage. When their victims were interviewed, they couldn't make a solid. That's what we needed to do. We didn't go on our pre-wedding crime spree.
Oh, well, it's like almost 20 years later, so I think we're past that.
Damn it.
I'll steal a pack of gum tomorrow. I mean, that we can call that a spree. I'll go back and pay for
You'll
it.
steal 2 packs of gum.
No, you have
packs
to
of gum.
steal one from the grocery store, one from CVS.
Oh, I would definitely get arrested.
From the gas station.
100%. They'd be like, this guy's just randomly stealing gum. He's gone from place to place to place, costing tens of dollars of damage.
So when the victims were interviewed, they couldn't make a solid ID. Many of them were men and told police that they were distracted by the striking blonde woman with a seemingly indifferent attitude.
She is a looker.
She is a looker.
They're just like, oh, I don't know who did it because there was this hot woman sitting in the car. Like, okay.
If she stayed in LA, she probably could have just been picked up by an agent. But she went home because she was trying to do the right thing for her family.
Yeah, by stealing stuff.
No, she went home.
I know.
And then met this asshole.
Oh, it's his fault?
I mean, yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, the whole cocaine thing is kind of weird.
I mean, he was kind of
her drink,
fucking her up and
yeah, I guess
manipulating her into doing crimes, essentially, because she was not in her right mind at all ever. Because she was on drugs and drunk
and addicted
and on cocaine. That was probably separate from the other drugs he was putting in her drinks.
Allegedly.
So the police were on the hunt because LA was in the grip of a crime wave. Probably that was the first of the crime waves. There's been many crime waves since.
Yeah, like now.
At the time, there was a lot of crime going on in most of the major U.S. cities.
Most of the U.S. citizens.
Yes, most of the U.S.
There's crime going on in here right now.
They were.
I feel it.
There was a crime wave going on throughout the country because people were poor and needed to get by in some way or another. So why not rob the wealthier people? However, it had been recently reported that many of the East Coast criminals had been interviewed and said that they were looking towards California for their next adventures once they were released from prison.
Why would they tell people that?
Throw them off the scent. You're just going to go back to your
Because
home.
if you're in New York and you're like, yo, I'm going to leave here as soon as I get out of prison, they're going to be like, all right, have a good day. Be somebody else's problem now.
I guess.
Plus, if they serve their time.
Yeah. So LA needed to do something to put their constituents' minds at ease.
True. Are the allegations?
So one day, an officer spotted what he thought looked like the car the couple had been driving in a garage. So the police decided that a sting was in order.
Ooh, good old-fashioned sting.
They dressed as mechanics and waited at the garage. On September 6th, after leaving Tom right around the corner and out of sight from whomever was at the garage, Burmah went in to get her car. She had noticed that there were a lot of mechanics there that were seemingly standing around just shooting the shit.
Just not enough work. It's okay. It happens.
But she ignored that.
Of course.
And she went and picked Tom up and drove back to the parking garage near their apartment.
Oh.
She drove into the garage, and there was a car right behind her. There was a small accident where Burmah's car rolled back into the car behind her, whose driver was dressed in mechanic's overalls, and he started beeping and swearing at her. So she turned around to see who the fuck was beeping at her, and the police got a good look at her face.
Who's still eating it?
They knew they had their suspects.
Because she was dashing.
I mean, Tom was in the car too.
I mean, maybe he was dashing and she was striking.
Not long after this, police raided the apartment where Burmah was with her parents. She and Tom had an apartment in the same building. Burmah was with her parents. Tom was upstairs. She begged the officers not to ask any questions in front of her parents and told them that she would go willingly with them. Tom, who had been upstairs, came down and was immediately confronted by officers. And chaos ensued, and Tom opened fire on the officers and was shot dead in front of their apartment. When police escorted Burmah out, she was forced to walk over the body of her dead husband in order to get out of the building.
Symbolism.
Symbolism?
This
isn't a novel.
In a last-ditch effort for escape, she ran to a window in the hallway in an attempt to throw herself out.
Do you think she was planning to kill herself or just to get away?
Probably just to get away.
And the press went wild.
Well, yeah.
At the time, LA police had a policy where they would often notify the press when something big was about to go down. As a result, they were camped out in front of the building. There were also reporters right behind the police while they were doing this raid. They watched as Burmah walked over the body of her dead husband. So here is this young, stunning woman involved in a heinous crime spree that almost killed two beloved members of the community. How could they not sensationalize that? This is absolutely front page material. They dubbed her the blonde rattlesnake and were obsessed with her starlit good looks and icy demeanor. The articles they ran hardly mentioned Tom, other than to say that Burmah clearly wasn't grieving. Maybe she was a sociopath? This drew readers in because there was a growing trend in younger criminals, but very few were women, especially not women who looked like Burmah.
Burmah's ice cold. Actually, she's colder than ice. She's like dry ice. What's colder than dry ice? I'll tell you what, Burmah.
Oh my God. There were a few more sympathetic female reporters that interviewed Burmah, but on the whole, the media coverage was brutal. 3 days after her arrest, she was made to go to the morgue for the coroner's inquest. While today, coroners typically autopsy, determine the cause of death, etc., etc., back then they also determined if a killing was justified or not.
What?
Yes.
I think qualified for that.
I mean, the dude was spraying bullets at the cops.
But they needed a third party who was not on the premises to tell them that it was okay for them to shoot him. The coroner did rule that Tom's death was a justifiable shooting.
Boom, boom.
Burmah was made to pose for pictures with the body of her dead husband.
That's
What?
actually cruel.
Because, of course, during this, the media were present.
Oh, of course.
After the inquest/photo op, there was a small service for Tom where the police actually did make an effort to keep the press away to allow Burmah and Tom's sister to grieve in peace. The grand jury did not conceive. The grand jury convened on September 12th, which was also the day of Tom's funeral. Burmah was allowed to briefly attend the burial. She did admit that she was an accomplice in these crimes. She apologized to the victims, but stated she had no control over Tom. She did tell the court how he pretended to be well off when they first met, only later revealing the truth and forcing her into a life of crime. And he insisted on marriage so she couldn't be forced to testify against him should they be caught.
I'm sure that's what it was.
They can't compel me to testify against you.
Yeah, but you're not going to find, nobody's going to find out about my crimes. I'm so cool.
She also told the court about the laced drinks and the drugs.
How'd you know about the laced drinks? That means she was drinking them willingly.
She was drinking them and then passing out. That's how much drugs he was putting in her drinks.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah, so she probably figured something was up after her.
But she's like, you know what? That wasn't that bad after the first 3 times. She's like, Jesus,
got
I
used
need
to it.
more.
Burmah was indicted on 7 counts robbery, 3 assault with attempted murder, and armed robbery. She was remanded into custody pending the trial. While in prison, Burmah wrote an open letter to women telling them that she should be used as a cautionary tale to remind them that she should find out as much as she can about her suitors, where they come from, who their families are, before getting involved with them. Crime doesn't pay, ladies.
Certainly doesn't. Except for the freaking $18 you stole off that guy.
Prison officials testified that she was nothing but a thrill girl whose prison stay would amount to nothing more than another cheap thrill. They were convinced that she was a druggie because why else would she have done all these awful things? And why else would she be so cold during the viewing of Tom's body? Well, as it turns out, maybe not all of what she was telling the police was made up.
Oh my god.
Her parents testified that at the wedding, they had noticed multiple old and new bruises on her arms and chest, as well as a large lump on her head.
Never go above the neck, guys.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
I've never hit your mom.
He is not. I will confirm. I feel like I must confirm at this point.
Oh my god, remember when we went to the hospital? They're like, can you leave the room?
Oh my god, they asked me so many times
what
if
happened?
I was safe at home.
Wait, what happened? What was this issue?
So it's common when you go to a hospital, especially a women's hospital, because I went to the hospital where women have their babies around here, and they asked me if I was safe at home, and I said yes.
No, but like, what was the injury?
There was no injury.
Why were you at the
She
hospital?
was pregnant with you guys.
I was going there to get admitted.
Oh, so they were just like, oh. They were
Yeah.
just asking
So
for no reason.
They asked me.
Or not for no.
Initially, they took me back and asked me this.
I thought you meant you went to the hospital because you had an injury, and then they were like,
No.
did he do this
No.
to you?
No, I was just going there because you guys...
Okay.
Well, right,
assholes.
yeah.
So they asked me, when they admitted me, they asked me, basically, anytime your dad left the room to go to the bathroom or something, it got to the point where they asked me so many times by the second day that Grandma yelled at the nurses.
Maybe it's because when they initially asked and I was in the room, I raised my fist and was like, you better not tell him. Maybe I shouldn't have done. In retrospect, that was a bad idea. It was funny to me, and it's still funny today. But it brought a lot of heat onto the whole situation. That wasn't pleasant. My bad.
When her mom asked, Burmah wouldn't comment on her injuries other than to say that she had fallen down the stairs. Which clearly she fell down the stairs over and over and over because she had so many bruises in different stages.
She's clumsy.
The minister...
Just every day she went to walk down her stairs, she
every
started
day,
tumbling.
fell down the stairs.
There's plenty of guys who tell their wife and everybody else the same thing.
The minister also testified that he thought she had a lot of makeup on and that it looked like she was attempting to cover something up.
Uh-oh.
So the minister noticed this woman's makeup. It was that bad. Even though her parents were concerned enough to ask, what the fuck, they clearly weren't that concerned because they did continue on with the wedding. The prosecutor painted her as a carefree, heartless bitch junkie.
Which is probably right.
Maybe she used the marijuana.
The marijuana.
Oh, God
Maybe
forbid.
opiates.
Did she smoke marijuana cigarettes?
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Damn.
Maybe she used the opiates.
It's a gateway drug.
All they knew for sure is that she admitted that she had been an accomplice.
An accomplice?
An accomplice.
Oh my God, you're dying right now. You're dying in front of us.
I'm like,
Please.
giving her eye.
Like, come on. I'm like, she's going to make it 15 more minutes. And like,
We can
I
do
hope this thing doesn't last
We can
that
do
long.
this. We can push through.
They pushed the weekend. At sentencing, the judge said It is not a pleasant duty to send a young person, and particularly a young woman, to the penitentiary. As an individual, I have nothing but heartfelt sympathy and pity for this young woman who is about to be branded a convict. But as a judge, my duty is plain. Burma White, the penalty I am about to impose is not retribution, but it is hope that your case will serve as an object lesson to others.
To death. Was it to death?
No. Burma was found guilty and sentenced to 30 years in prison.
Wow, holy crap, that's a long time.
Yeah, considering
a solid
dead
number.
husband.
A solid number. It wasn't 1 to 10.
It was a solid number.
And serve it in 2.
It was like 3 to 30. It was actually.
It was like, hey, guess what? It's going to be 30 years.
Yeah.
Burma spent her time in prison working as the prison beautician.
Okay.
She was released after only serving 8 years.
Oh, come on.
After she was released, she moved back to the San Francisco area and became an office manager, and she eventually remarried to an engineer.
Okay.
The couple lived a quiet and isolated life, largely because Burma was tired of the constant scrutiny of the press and the public as a whole.
Well, yeah.
She applied for pardon. Oh, Jesus. She applied for pardon in the 50s, but that request was denied because she had, in fact, admitted guilt. This bid for a pardon may have been in part a way for her to move on from the past and all the guilt and shame of the whole situation. As a mature adult, you will find that you all often find yourself looking back on your actions and wishing for closure or a different outcome of something. And you definitely cringe when you look at your past boyfriends or girlfriends or actual regular front-of-the-mill friends.
I like pretty much anybody.
Yes, you will cringe.
People are like, oh, I treated that person pretty badly. Or whatever.
Your life choices, yes.
You're just like contemplating.
Just like, damn, I did him dirty.
In Burma's case, this was obviously much more of an issue than the rest of us. Unfortunately, after the pardon was denied, Burma became a severe alcoholic and died of the disease in 1962 at only 48 years old.
Damn.
Upon autopsy, she had an extremely swollen brain and was found to have a blood alcohol level of 0.3%.
Damn.
For the record, 0.08 is the point where you would get a DUI today. And at 0.35, you legitimately could die from alcohol poisoning. That amount of booze is like being put under anesthesia for surgery.
Well, yeah, she was put under anesthesia permanently because of it. So.
This case did change the laws of, at the time. New laws were enacted that would require felons to register with the local sheriff departments when they moved. This ensured that they weren't just being released back into society with no supervision or follow-up. If this had been a law prior, Tom may not have been able to get his claws into an impressionable little teenage girl with big dreams.
And big alcohol problems.
Well, I mean, but that was when she was like a lot later in life. Not when she was a teenager.
He was on the drugs. The marijuana.
Not willingly.
Not willingly.
So nobody can force you to take marijuana.
Oh, we cannot confirm or deny
We
for
don't know
marijuana
if she
usage.
did marijuana.
You guys said marijuana, not me.
I said that they speculated that maybe she was smoking the marijuana cigarettes.
Damn.
I feel like anybody would be smoking the marijuana cigarettes after that.
Yeah.
This is nuts. This one's crazy.
So that is the sad tale of Burmah Adams.
And now we can start the seance.
I will tell you about the picture, which I will post. That you said
Finally.
looked like it was from
Finally,
A movie
you'll get
set,
to
yeah.
host it.
was because at the time, a director was filming a movie about women in prison, and they felt that what's the most realistic thing we can do to film women in prison?
Film women in prison?
So they did. They took the film set to the prison, and for very obvious reasons, they chose Burmah to be in their movie.
Nice. Pretty cool.
So she is forever remembered on film.
That's kind of cool. We should look that up. Is the film like on YouTube? Okay, let's wrap it up, girls.
Thank you for listening today. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Sinister Studies Pod.
Email us.
sinisterstudiespod@gmail.com.
Braylon, if you're listening, email the ideas you had for things for us to cover to the email, because I completely forgot who they were.
I have a whole list of things. I have a running list, so Braylon, yes. Feel free to
Braylon,
submit.
DM my mom on Instagram. I don't know. Tell her.
Oh my God. No, Braylon, don't DM my wife. That's not cool. My wife, my lady. That's not right. But definitely send the email.
Anyway.
So, women.
Women, am I right?
Adios.